Can you start a podcast with me, please? I need something to do.
Pasternak sent it out in front of Malkin to save. They score! Elias Lindholm looks to the heavens.
Here's a chance. Potter right in and goal. He scores. Oh my! What a move by the rookie.
2-on-1. Pasternak moving in with Marchand. Get into it. Score!
The zone. Coyle dances in. Backhand. Score!
Lindholm right wing corner. Pasternak is there. He scores! David Pasternak wins it for Boston.
Welcome in, everyone, to another episode of Bruins Tape to Tape. We are recording this episode on Monday, February 9th. Officially, the NHL is on a break. The Olympics have officially started. Opening ceremonies took place on Friday. But I would be remiss before, well, first of all, let me welcome in my friend, my co-host, and the woman who likely will keep me sane during this episode, Caroline with a K.
Hey,
Welcome.
Maria. I hope you're staying warm because today, my God, again, we're talking a month now. I'm a popsicle.
Well, the temperatures are even more frigid in New England because Sunday was the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And I would be remiss if I didn't say that it is a sad day in greater New England because the New England Patriots were, I don't want to say embarrassed, but they clearly weren't ready for the big stage against the Seattle Seahawks. Credit to the Seahawks. Their defense ate Drake May and the offense alive. Like they ate more of Drake May than I did yesterday with the Super Bowl food that we had.
Oh my God. Oh.
And to me, now again, did any of us in New England expect the Patriots to get to the Super Bowl? Absolutely freaking not. Is the future relatively bright? Yes. For people who are calling Drake May a fraud, get a grip on yourselves, okay? Get a freaking grip on yourselves. Did he look out of sorts? Yes. Did he have a bad game? Yes. Was it a bad time to have a bad game? Absolutely yes. But to say that he's a fraud, you've all lost your minds, people. You've all lost your minds. But I, for one, expected a better game. I was shockingly disappointed by how out of sorts and anemic the offense looked. Defense for the Patriots kept them in that game throughout the course of the game. So it's not an awesome day in New England right now.
Whap, whap. That's
Whap,
a
whap.
bummer. That's a bummer. I feel for you. I'm not a football person, so I'm like, I don't really care one way or the other, but my husband is. He's a Pats fan. So in the morning, I gave him a pat on the shoulder, said, sorry about your football team. But that's football. We're here for hockey. And
We're here for hockey. We're here to talk Olympics.
Yes.
We are doing our annual kind of traditional awards show.
Yeah.
Thank you to our listeners who participated and voted. I think we had some
very interesting results.
Decisions, which we'll talk about. You and I are going to disclose our own individual ballots. But before we get started, we've got a little bit of news to break down here. The late breaking news before the Olympics even started was that we had concerns about Pavel Zacha. And I know that I had been vocal on our last podcast about he's good to go. Why isn't he playing for his team? Apparently, he is not good to go because he is a no-go for the Olympics, which I'm sure is a disappointment to him.
absolutely. But I mean, on the flip side, we're looking at he's getting he's definitely getting 2 weeks, maybe 2.5. Yeah, the non-Olympians will start their practices before the Olympics is over. So he'll still get a good, I think, 2 weeks of break. Hopefully that's a good amount of time for him to rest and recover so that he can go the distance when they come back, because it's going to be hitting the ground running, very intense hockey, basically pre-playoff games. I'm glad that, in the long run, that was the decision that was made to hopefully give him an opportunity to get back. And last week, you also had a similar critique against Elias Lindholm, and he did go there. But let's see if he actually plays too, because I think teams are allowed a couple extra players. So it'll be interesting to see is he going to continue to sit out, or are they actually going to put him into play? So we shall see what happens there.
So and then team captains were named. It appears that our friend Charlie McAvoy is quite the spokesperson for Team USA, which honestly, he likely has a better personality than Austin Matthews does. So I can understand why he's the more vocal and the guy who's somewhat putting himself out there. I still don't understand that decision. I don't want to go off on a tangent, but what a colossal waste of time of a C.
I know.
And I know people have their issues with the Kachuk boys, but they have more leadership ability than Austin Matthews does. And I know he's a prolific scorer, but that doesn't qualify you as a leader based on what we're seeing from the team that he plays for.
Right.
So I just don't understand it. I don't get it.
Well, and I think also we've talked a little bit in our Discord and full ownership. I have not looked into this. Maybe there is a rule. Maybe it is an unwritten rule. But we've had a discussion about why certain players maybe did not receive a C on their jerseys. And is it because in the NHL, they only have an A, or they don't have a letter? And so if they're an A, is it disrespectful to someone who is a C, to jump them?
It's likely an unwritten rule, because there are a lot of them in the league, as we very well know.
Right.
Okay. And I can understand that. But if you as a coach and your coaching staff and the general manager who have spent countless amounts of time hand selecting these players for this moment, that stuff should, right? It should go by the wayside. The respect, the respect thing is this the right person to lead Team USA?
Right.
And if a bunch of us, and we're not qualified, but if many people are saying, what? Huh?
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah. I mean, if that's the unwritten rule, then I'd rather have seen Brady Tkachuk be named captain of Team USA, because he's a captain. There are actually at least two other, if I'm just off the top of my head of thinking of the roster, there's at least 2 other captains on that team. The other one being JT Miller, which hell no, do not make that man captain.
It's such a shit show in New York. Yeah.
But anyways, so I thought that was great. I mean, no shock really anywhere, I think, with any of the Olympic team captains that have been named. Canada, Crosby, that's a given. Like, that's a no-brainer.
Oh, yeah.
Now, you'll have to remind me, because I don't remember. I think this is the same as it was at Four Nations, but his assistants or alternate captains are Makar and McDavid.
And I think there's something to that pattern. You bring up a good point with how the letters were distributed for these Four Nations tournaments. So maybe there's why rock the boat. I just don't. Me personally, I don't see it in this player. Now, we don't follow. We somewhat follow the Maple Leafs, but it doesn't seem like there's a lot of vocalness that comes from Austin Matthews, even in front of the. I don't know. I don't know why it triggers me. I don't know why it bothers me, but it does.
Yeah. Fair. I am in agreement. Sweden, I didn't realize this until quite literally I saw a post about the Swedish players arriving in Italy that Gabe Landeskog made it. That he recovered from whatever injury he had early in January. I thought he was done. The way that it was portrayed online and in the media, like, oh, there's no way that he's going to get back to full health in time. And then, of course, him being not only a member of not the Bruins, but then West Coast team, failed to stay on top of that news. So I was thrilled to see him because this is a guy who, like, I'm a huge fan. He's worked so hard to get back to where he is.
Yeah.
Thrilled that he could get back. So he's been named captain and his assistants are Hedman and Carlson. So I think that's going to be a great team to watch as well.
And for our players, David Pastrnak has been named as an assistant captain for Czechia.
Mm-hmm.
Roman Cherevanka is the captain. And Radko Gudas. Okay.
He's a personality hire, right?
He's a personality. He's an elder statesman.
Yeah.
But listen, this is going to be some damn good freaking hockey to watch.
Yep. Yeah.
And I don't know that you can say that any team right now is a shoo-in to win.
No.
Like, Team USA for the women looked tremendous.
I mean,
they just looked tremendous. And what did we see? We saw a meme or a post somewhere that someone had put. It was hysterical that someone put out there. Pretty sure that women's Team USA could beat the New York Rangers, right?
Especially at home.
Which I thought was hysterical.
Yeah. I think on the men's side, it's going to be incredibly tight. I don't know that there's necessarily any guarantee one way or the other. Although, as a sidebar, I will say that Team Canada has shown up ready for business. Everything that I have seen from this team, not on the ice, they get off the plane, they're in their uniforms. They're walking around, they're unified. Their social media is giving everyone an inside look.
Social media is fire.
Yeah. Team USA, they got off the plane looking like bums who have traveled halfway across the world. And I know nothing about them except for Charlie McAvoy is out there, having fun. Him and Swayman and Ottinger and Werenski apparently had been tapped to go in early, whatever. But on the women's side, I mean, once again, this is going to just come down to Team USA and Team Canada. It's a growing sport. It was first introduced to the Olympics in 1998, and the rest of the world still has to play a little bit of catch up when it comes to just producing incredibly high-end women's hockey talent. So I just suspect that it's just going to come back down to the usual. However,
the usual suspects, but one never knows.
You never know. You never know because, again, this is a tournament style where it's one game. And one game can go great, one game can go poorly. But I will say, this Team USA, they have won their opening game in every Olympic game season that they've played. All 8, from Nagano to Milan, their first game that they've played, the women have always won that game. That is insane. That's crazy.
Insane. Yeah.
And we're watching history in the making because Captain Hillary Knight has just recently, in their last game, tied the U.S. Olympic women's hockey career goal record with 14 goals. Matching.
And she'll certainly break it during the course of this tournament. She will become the standard.
Yes.
She will become the standard. And she's doing it at the, young age of 30.
Mid-30s, 35, 34?
35. I mean,
she's been in 5 Olympics.
That is not all. That's not old, but by hockey standards, right? Given how long she's been doing this, credit to her, man. Yep. Credit to her.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty awesome to watch. So I think Team USA is a pretty scary looking team, quite frankly.
Yeah. It'll be fun. It'll be fun viewing.
Yes.
And so to all of our Olympians, Bruins and local Olympians, including the women who are representing Team USA, we wish them all good luck. We wish them all good luck.
Yep. Yeah. And I want to throw in, because again, our episode today is a little bit different format.
Yes.
I do have a stick tap, two in particular. One to Sani Ahola. She's the goalie for Finland. She plays for the Ottawa Charge in the PWHL. Now, I watched this game. This poor woman, I believe the United States beat Finland 5-0.
And at one point, Finland only had 2 shots on goal.
So allowing 5 goals, you may think, that sounds terrible. What an awful goalie. This poor woman faced almost 50 shots on goal.
Lunacy.
And she only allowed 5.
Yeah.
So she still had a 900 save percentage at the end of this. So that was just incredible to watch. She was just absolutely phenomenal. I mean, basically facing a firing squad of Team USA. And then also, my stick tap goes to the Olympic hockey tournament and the IIHF. Their tournament rules hand out points in, I believe the PWHL does this. I so badly want the NHL to do this, and I think a lot of people are in this camp now too.
Yeah.
The 3-2-1-0 point system.
Yeah.
They're using it in both tournaments for the men's and women's. It just gets rid of that awfulness that creeps in with the loser point, and it's just a much better way to reward actual winning, because the Bruins, and I'm sure many other teams, even this season and in past seasons, have been penalized basically for not going and losing in overtime over actually just winning games. Tap to them.
I agree with you. I mean, you know me. The gimmick stuff, I can't stand it. These are professional. These are guys who have worked their asses off from the time that they were young. And we're now treating these games like they're, arcade games with. Yeah, I love the 3-on-3. Don't get me wrong. The 3-on-3, you can keep that all day, every day. And if you told me that you wanted to extend it even by a couple more minutes and you would get rid of the shootout, I would be jumping up and down for joy. But that shootout shit in the NHL, I want it gone. I don't know how many different ways I can say this. And it's not because my team stinks at it. Yes, I know the Bruins stink at it. But to me, it has no place in determining the result of a professional sporting event. Sorry. Just how I feel.
I think the solution is obviously very simple. I mean, I would be willing to continue to live with the shootout if they just did the 3-2-1-0. You cannot, you have to award more value to a win in regulation, because the point is to win in regulation.
I agree with you.
But that is neither here nor there.
I agree with you. So, penalty box.
Ooh.
I do have an...
Okay.
Because we didn't have an opportunity to chat or record after the Bruins played the Florida Panthers, where Charlie McAvoy took one of the, I don't even want to call it textbook hits, but that hit that was levied on him is the very definition of targeting the head. And first of all, the broadcast team, you suck. You absolutely suck. When your immediate reaction was to say that basically Charlie put his head in a vulnerable place.
Right.
Look at the replay first, you absolute morons. When you see the Florida Panthers player not only leave his skates, but elevate himself to such a degree that he targets the head. And then, then we get to the NHL officials who have been absolutely given the playbook as to how to address these hits. You call it a major immediately. And then you go and look at it. But no, what do you assholes do? You call it 2 minutes. It's not reviewable. Marco Sturm is losing his mind on the bench. The bench is losing their mind. We got this guy heading down to the tunnel with what looks to, he's got to go to have himself checked for a concussion. And to add insult to freaking injury, the Department of Player Safety doesn't even give it a look. Doesn't he? Even Paul Maurice knows this is bad. This is bad. And I have to pull this player out of the game with a phantom injury. Okay. Whatever they called it, upper body.
He's not massacred on the ice.
Right. I am so fucking sick and tired of this. So sick and tired of it. These are the hits that you can't tell me that you care about the safety of these players when all of you morons in Toronto and at the league office watch this stuff and deem it to be okay and not worthy of even a game suspension. It's a freaking joke.
I'm in agreement because regardless, let's just say we're talking not even about that particular hit. If the league is serious about head injuries, which questionable if they actually are, whatever.
No. Let's just say they don't care.
Right.
This is
they
my
don't.
stand.
You're right.
You don't care. The league does not care.
But I would say they are trying to pretend like they care, or they want to present maybe a facade, right? I think like they're pretending like they care because they have certain elements in place and you know, those elements could have been brought into place because of the Players Association. However, if a player has a head injury, a hit to the head, whether or not, and we've seen instances where, yeah, no, it was the player. He just, you know, did a late turn and it happens.
Right,
and
of course. We've watched enough hockey to know,
right,
in most instances, when the player puts himself in that vulnerable position. We've talked about this with respect to Matty Patra.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
But there is no seasoned hockey fan or viewer who didn't look at that hit. And those of you on Twitter who are justifying these hits, kiss my ass. All right? Kiss my ass. You're all morons.
Awful. But regardless, if a player is injured and receives a head injury in whatever happens, that should be and it causes a stop in play and requires medical assistance on the ice. In that moment, the on-ice officials should be reviewing. I don't even think that they should have to say we're going to call a major and review it. Because if you call a major and review it, if your two options are only it must be a 5-minute major or it then can be a 2-minute penalty. So regardless, there has to be a penalty.
But that's the protocol.
I agree. And they didn't follow the protocol. But even just with any head injury, if they're for some strange reason afraid of, you know, start doing that protocol because they don't know if there actually was a penalty, then remove that barrier in that case, that if someone took a head hit that requires someone to go out on the ice to tend to them, just look at it and then see, and like, you know what I'm saying? Like if for whatever reason that threat of I can't have a wrong penalty, if that's what was going through your mind, which is stupid, but whatever, then take that threshold away. Prioritize player safety. And I got to tell you, this one was so egregious. And seeing everything online, you know, with the joke kind of was, you've got Habs fans and Leafs fans supporting the Bruins in this. And
Right,
I think
right.
for as obvious as Chucky feels like he can be, because a lot of players they feel like they have to be really careful about how they criticize the league publicly. He was, I think, pretty obviously upset, and I wouldn't be.
And then because you screwed up
Right.
as officials, then you give Marco Sturm a bench minor. Well, of course he should lose his freaking mind. I'm surprised he didn't throw sticks and gloves out on the ice after that, because that's what I would have done.
Right.
You watch one of you star defensemen, a key component to Team USA, who just came back from a horrific injury, who is now playing some of the best hockey we've seen him play in quite some time. And you watch him take a blow to the head, and you're supposed to sit there quietly because you morons screwed up.
Right.
And then nobody holds these referees accountable. Nobody holds them accountable for it.
No. I wouldn't be surprised if we hear something comes of this in regards to the Players Association, because I think Charlie McAvoy he's a very smart person. He's articulate and an eloquent speaker. I mean, he's very well educated, so he can advocate, I think. And I wouldn't be surprised if that wasn't the end. We may never know what happens after the fact, but I wouldn't be surprised if Players Association was contacted. Like, that was pretty awful.
I'm going to put my black and gold rose-colored glasses on, because I would bet a month's pay that if that hit had been levied on a Connor McDavid, a Connor Bedard, a Macklin Celebrini, you name anybody beyond a Boston Bruin, that would have been an immediate 5-minute major call. Immediate 5-minute major call. And I stand by that. This type of incident is not a small sample size when it comes to the way calls are made or not made as it relates to stars on the Boston Bruins.
Yeah, agreed.
So,
but
anyway,
let's maybe talk about something a little bit more fun. Like
let's get into our awards.
Yay.
So, yay! We put together our own little awards ballot, which we have been doing now. What is this? Our third year now?
It's our third.
We're doing this. And it's fun. We got some of our listeners and viewers to chime in. We had some interesting results. So how do we want to break this down? Do we want to do them based on your vote, my vote, and viewer votes, and then dissect?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. So my ballot is in my hot little hands here. You can't see it, people. But so Caroline has no idea.
You don't.
Where I'm going with some of my decisions. Some may be a little bit surprising, but I think for the most part, we're somewhat all on the same page. So we'll start with the Hart Trophy, the Bruins Hart Trophy, which is awarded to the player judged most valuable to his team. So our listeners voted for Pasta.
Yes.
My friend Caroline voted for Pasta. My vote is for Morgan Geekie. And I'm going to make my case.
Fascinating.
I'm going to make my case.
Yeah, no.
Based on the fact that we are looking at this, I don't know if we're at the midway mark. However, I do recall me saying, and I think there was consensus in the past in early pods, where would this team have been without Morgan Geekie at the start of the season and the scoring tear that he had been on? And so based on the sample size that we were looking at, and Pasta is the superstar of the team, most definitely. And he has been in the running in the past for most valuable player in the league. But if I'm looking at this from a Bruins standpoint in terms of, Pasta was a little bit quiet for a little bit to start the season. And Morgan Geekie basically had the team on his back. So that's why he got my vote.
Nice. Well, and I have to say, so folks who are listening, obviously you can't see, but I'm going to be posting this also in our Substack, the results. So for listeners and followers who voted, all of our categories were done in rank choice order. So you could move around, and rank the different players, as is custom in a lot of these categories in real life. And yes, I also voted for David Pastrnak. But Morgan Geekie, he was my second choice. And for our listeners who voted, David Pastrnak received the most points, followed by Morgan Geekie, Jeremy Swayman, Charlie McAvoy, Nikita Zadorov, and so on and so forth. So it was actually pretty, I bet you we probably had that David Pastrnak and Morgan Geekie 1-2, 2-1 a handful of times. I think it's a no-brainer for either of them because David Pastrnak, he is the foundation of this team. And in the past year, especially since the trade deadline, he has entered another gear, another level that to me makes him that much more valuable because he's not just your best player. He's not just your best goal scorer. He's become a tremendous playmaker, and his overall ability to contribute in every possible way, to me, is just that little bit that tips him over the edge. Now,
No. This was no disrespect to Pasta.
there's no wrong answer here.
Yeah, there's no disrespect. I mean, he clearly, again, and I've said it before, how lucky are we to have a David Pastrnak on this team? But if I'm looking at it holistically and based on, the fact that he was somewhat quiet to start the season, Morgan Geekie, even David Pastrnak had said it at one point in time. I bet he can score 60 goals, So that's where my mindset came from with regard to this award.
Yep, definitely.
Our next award is called what we're referring to as the New Bruin Trophy, which to us is kind of the quasi Calder Memorial Trophy, which is Rookie of the Year. We do have a lot of new players on the team this year. So, we wanted to kind of take a look at and include the players who came in at the deadline last year and include them in this because their time was relatively short.
Yep.
So our listeners.
Fraser Minten.
Caroline chose Fraser Minten, and I myself also chose Fraser Minten. So this was a landslide win for Fraser. I think it was basically a no-brainer.
Although I have to say for our listeners, and I'm trying to remember exactly how I ranked these different folks. I believe my top three were the same as what our audience voted, which was Fraser Minten first, Victor Arvidsson second, and Marat Husnudinov third. Those were all very tight, close in points. And I was in agreement with what the audience had to say. So definitely our top new guys for sure.
Yeah, no. And Fraser has been he's been a revelation this season. And it's somewhat silly to look at the fact that the Maple Leafs just gave him up for
nothing.
Not a lot. So moving on. So now we have the Seventh Player Award, and this is an award that is, I forget how long NESN in conjunction with the Bruins, has been running this contest, and it's a fan award, and anyone can vote on it. You can vote early, you can vote often, and it's typically given to the player on the team who works hard every day for the good of the team without any expectation, and who you say to yourself, wow, I didn't see this coming. I didn't see the ability for this player to make this kind of contribution to the Boston Bruins.
Yeah.
So our listeners voted for Marat Hustadinov. Caroline, your vote went to Pavel Zacha.
It did.
And mine went to Mark Kasteler.
Oh, see, I love all of these, though. They're all excellent. These are all very excellent. I mean, I think for me, when I did my ranked choice voting, I mean, it was so hard because there's been a lot of quiet contributors that
Right.
has just surprised us. So,
But here's my view of Mark Castellet and my
Mhm.
justification. I mean, this guy came in and he's embraced everything with related to the Boston Bruins and the culture.
Mhm.
He works his ass off, shift after shift after shift. He has his teammates back time and time again. He's becoming pretty decent in the face-off dots, where Marco will send him out there to win a particular specific face-off, and he's
True.
become a penalty killer.
Mhm.
So that's my, you know, the rationale for my voting for Mark Castellet.
That's excellent. And also, I didn't realize until just now that I didn't include him as a choice for our audience. So I'm sure they also would have agreed with you if given the choice because I forgot about him. I'm so sorry.
I got him there. I got him in there.
Yeah. I
So
mean,
then-
for me, I chose Zaka because we love this guy, but we also love to tease him that, he can't hit the broadside of a barn when it comes to the net and this, that, and the other. And I think that this season, he's just really been able to produce in a way that we haven't seen in a very long time. I mean, he's one of the top goal scorers, his points. I mean, he's been just having a season. And so that was just kind of nice, unexpected, especially coming from somebody who's been on the team for a little while at this point.
Yeah. No. There are no wrong answers, folks, but we're just, making our cases and justifying those that we did choose. The next one is the Patrice Bergeron Award, which is also known as the Frank Selke Trophy.
Yep.
And it is awarded to the forward who excels at the defensive aspects of the game. This one was a tough one for me.
Yes.
This one was a tough one for me because I kind of had Mark Kastelik in that category as well. Just because, I was seeing how Marco uses him now and the trust that Marco has in Kastelik. But I will say that our listeners went with Mark Kastelik.
Yep.
You, my friend, went with Elias Lindholm. I put Pavel Zacha in here. So, but I tell you, it was a struggle for me.
Yeah.
It was a real struggle.
Yeah, I agree. I think, first of all, it's always going to be a struggle for me to pick this one because in my mind, the standard is Patrice Bergeron, and there's nobody who's coming close to what he was able to do. So it's kind of hard. Like
It's really hard comparison.
I'm putting,
it's almost unfair.
I'm putting an unfair comparison, in my mind. But I think you're right. Again, no wrong answers because I think all of our centers have done pretty decent jobs out there this year. We talked for a couple of seasons about how we don't have good centers. We don't have good centers. And I think that this year is finally a season where that's really not the bulk of the conversation because they're all doing just really great jobs out there. They're all overperforming.
Well, and also it speaks to the defensive structure of the team. Because if you're going to play the system that they want to play, everybody has to be defensively responsible.
Right.
It just can't fall to certain players.
Right.
So, and I think that might have also made it a bit difficult to pinpoint someone on this team, this current roster, who is excelling at that.
Yep. Yeah.
So our next award is the James Norris Memorial Trophy. And I know this is a particular stickler for you because this has basically become like I don't know. It's become a little watered down from the league standpoint. So we've tweaked it a little bit to say, this is for the defenseman who demonstrates a commitment to defensive play. not to just padding their stats with goals and assists and a high plus minus. So, and we were very specific in explaining that as part of this voting. So, Caroline, you went with Jonathan Aspero.
Yes.
Is that correct?
I did.
Our listeners went with Nikita Zadorov. And I myself am also going with Nikita Zadorov. Because I think, me personally, from day one, he has been the Bruins' steadiest and best defenseman all season long.
True. Yes. No, I agree. For me, my number 2 choice was Nikita Zadorov. I think, when we're looking at that back end, we don't have a high number of truly, truly defensive defensemen, at-home defensemen. So obviously, in that regards, it's one of 2, basically. We have some two-way players that were in the mix as well, but I ended up going with Aspero for 2 reasons. One, I think he is even more a pure at-home defenseman, even more than Zadorov. I think Zadorov has a little bit more variety in what he does out there. And then also simply because when Aspero was out for, a handful of games, the Bruins were terrible.
They did
terrible.
Suffer. They did suffer.
And as soon as he came back, they had not just a winning record, a dominantly winning record. They were like 5-1 or 5-2 or whatever it was. So he's clearly some kind of secret sauce there in regards to the defense. So that's why he got my vote this time.
So then we'll stick with the defenseman category. And we made this award up ourselves.
Yep.
And it's called the Bobby Orr Defenseman Award. I still think that the James Norris should be changed to Bobby Orr Trophy, but what the hell do I know? So this is for the defenseman who demonstrates skill in two-way play and can be called an offensive defenseman.
Yes.
And so our listeners went with Charlie McAvoy. You, my friend, went with Charlie McAvoy. And I, too, went with Charlie McAvoy.
Yep. Yeah.
And I don't know if that's process of elimination for me, just because now Charlie has been playing a lot better and has been getting more involved offensively than many of the other defensemen we currently have on this roster.
Yeah. Well, and I think for me, I went with Chucky because when I was ordering my list, I immediately just took the more defensive defensemen and, dragged them down and looked at kind of what I had left. And Hampus, he is a great two-way player. He's just not having that year this year.
He's not having a good year. And the injury, both players have been injured.
Right.
But his injury, I think, has had an impact on him more so than we likely even know about.
Yeah. And with Mason Lohrei, yes, he is an offensive defenseman. He's great at goal scoring and points and things like that. But at the end of the day, I was thinking more, okay, you want to have someone who can balance both because they are still a defenseman. So to me, it's Charlie all the way in that regard. Mason just doesn't have that defensive piece at all.
Yep.
So I was like, I can't vote for him for this.
So now we're making our way to the Lady Byng Memorial Trophy, and this is typically awarded to a player who has exhibited outstanding sportsmanship and gentlemanly conduct combined with a high standard of playing ability. Mm-hmm. So our listeners went with Pavel Zacha. Mm-hmm. You, my friend, went with Elias Lindholm.
Yep.
And I went with Victor Arvidsson.
Oh.
Just because I wanted to show him a little bit of love. I think he has been quietly playing very well for the Boston Bruins. I don't think he gets a lot of recognition
Right.
for his level of play and his effort on the ice for the Bruins, and that was my rationale for voting for
Yeah.
Victor.
Yeah, definitely. Again, no wrong answers. I think that the Boston Bruins have a lot of players who play really hard, they play really well, and they behave out there on the ice.
I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
keeps his nose clean,
Yeah,
right? Keeps his
absolutely.
nose clean, does his job. So, that's why I gave Arvidsson my vote.
Mhm,
And we're gonna wrap up our voting with the Bill Masterson Memorial Trophy Award.
mhm.
This is awarded to a player who exemplifies the qualities of perseverance and dedication to hockey.
Mhm.
Our listeners went with Charlie McAvoy. Caroline, you went with Jonathan Aspero, and I went with Mikey Easimont.
Oh, very nice. That
And
is
I
very
I
nice.
did so because, he's had his ups and downs with the Bruins. He's been scratched, he's been back in, he's been scratched. And when he comes back and works hard and plays hard.
Yeah, yeah. I went with Jonathan Aspero because I just love his story that he's played 6 seasons in the AHL, and typically when that happens, it's probably not really gonna happen for you at the NHL level, and who knows what the future will bring for Jonathan Aspero, but since he's gotten the call up, early in the season, I mean, he has just made the most of it. He's earned himself a 2-year deal, and the fact that, it seems like he never gave up when he was in the AHL and committed to making it and just playing the game for the love of the game. He got my vote. And then my number 2 was the listener's number 1, which was Charlie McAvoy, because I mean, the man has had just an absolutely horrific year.
Yeah, he's had a tough go of it.
So
Had a
yeah,
tough
this
go
is
of it
very
for
much
sure.
so earning
Yeah.
that nod as well.
So that wraps up our
Yeah.
Bruins Awards. We thank you all for participating. If you have any comments or critiques about anyone that we voted for, please feel free to share them on our social medias. You can find us on X. You can find us on Substack. Our social handles are at Tape to Tape MK, and on Substack you can find us at tape2tapemk.substack.com. Please feel free to give us a rating, a review, and make it easier for other listeners to find us and find our content.
And of course, as always, go Bees and go Olympics.
Go Bees! Yay, Team USA!